Good afternoon, everyone. This is Brock Beard from NASCAR.info. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. And a very early Merry Christmas to those of you out there, or Happy Holidays, whichever you prefer. I figured we'd squeeze in a little extra bonus stream here before the festivities get started this weekend. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Got quite a bit to definitely cover on the show, even since our last one, which wasn't really all that long ago. Both a little bit of the good, the bad, and the frankly, quite honestly, in between here at the same time. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in here. I know it was a little bit of a last-minute deal getting the show going here as everybody else files in here. Obviously, I would be very remiss without, first of all, offering my condolences to the families of both Steve Richards as well as Bob Keselowski and the Keselowski family. Two pioneers in the sport, two very hard scrabble people in both media and in racing in particular. The news of this just coming across yesterday between the both of them there, it definitely, our hearts definitely go out to both families out there for sure. I never really had a good fortune of meeting either of them personally. I understand Steve was actually at Phoenix for the finale there just a couple weeks ago, or just last month there. But certainly, the news with that, definitely, our condolences to them right off the bat there. Bob Keselowski in particular, one story that comes to mind is, the work that he had in the ARCA series, name that came up quite a bit in the Gary Bradbury research there as well. The ARCA series, one of the only drivers that was driving Mopar products, as was a very big feature of the K Automotive Motorsports team, including the time when they were up in the Xfinity series as well, developing programs, as well as Brian Keselowski's Daytona 500 start in 2011. It's a team that's very much of the same, the blue collar attitude out there that comes to mind. I actually read a book recently that was published by a company. I'm trying to remember the name of the company, but they actually did a description of the 1992 ARCA season. And Bob featured very prevalent in that series, won a couple of races there along the way, had some mechanical issues that kept him from being consistent enough to be up there in the standings, but also kind of mentioning the Gary Bradbury connection, and big thanks to the user that actually mentioned this just yesterday, the fact that he also drove for Jimmy Means in 1994 and was able to compete in the series there at the same time there. So, definitely making sure to mention that right off the bat. And Steve Richards as well. I've always, again, I think that of all the issues that have been there in broadcasting, people that work pit road in general, they're a very different breed. I've seen, whether it's people like Dave Burns or, for TV, or Steve for radio, they just do a tremendous amount of work trying to get out there and get the very best coverage they can. And they're putting a lot of ground under them. And, again, it's sad because at the same time, again, I think that's why it's so important to really, get these stories out there and understand who these people are, and making sure you can interview them and get their stories, because there's it's sometimes that's those are the circumstances there. But yeah, definitely want to lead off with the show by again offering condolences both to Steve Richards' family as well as Bob Keselowski's. We'll definitely go into our regular part with the show here, and definitely talking about the many bits of news that have come up here in the last couple of weeks, as well as different things we're anticipating for next season. The news just today, actually, of Blaine Perkins now getting a full-time ride with CR7 Motorsports in the Truck Series full-time next year. I think that's very exciting. It's a little bit of a drawback. I'd like to believe that Cody Rohrbaugh will hopefully be in another entry so he can run at Daytona, because just like Jordan Anderson at that Daytona opener, Rohrbaugh has been one that's been very surprising in both those runnings as well. Maybe he can kind of to keep that streak going too. But Blaine Perkins, of course, won a stage at Talladega just this past year. And I thought that was a tremendous story. Really showed that the Our Motorsports team, the 02 was really off this last year, but that 23 car was the real kingmaker. And it was interesting to see whether it was Ty Dillon or Blaine Perkins. Or even Natalie Decker had a halfway decent run at Martinsville towards the end of the season too. I think that's definitely something that's helped those programs and those drivers out as well at the same time. So definitely good news on that front for sure. I hope you guys enjoyed the Gary Bradbury interview video. I know that was a little bit different from the last one there. I should have put an ending on it. I apologize that it cuts off a little bit soon, but definitely just wanted to make sure to get all the content in there as possible. Was having some audio issues with the recorder, but a big thanks again to those of you in the Lastreon. Because of you, I have already been able to secure a new recorder, and hopefully future interviews, both in Rise of the Field Fillers and these other projects, the audio quality should be a lot better. I'm very pleased with how it sounds so far. I've been doing some testing with that this week, and that'll certainly be the same one used for future projects. But Gary gave a very entertaining interview there back on December 9th. We talked about every phase of his career coming up there, as well as his transition from ARCA into the Cup Series, trying to really understand why he was as good as he was in qualifying, and particularly second round qualifying. He gave some interesting insight into what some of these smaller teams were like. I should do a follow-up with him because I didn't really ask him about Larry Hedrick Motorsports. But he did cover a lot of these other programs along the way, whether it was the Shoney's team, talking about the breakfast that he had with the fans at Indianapolis, or even little details like the child support recovery sponsorship with TriStar Motorsports, which apparently turned out to be a bit of a disaster there, and I'm sure played a role in the reason that TriStar disappeared there, certainly for a while there as well. But if you haven't checked out the video, of course, it's on this channel. I just posted it, I believe, I made it publicly available on Thursday afternoon, if I remember correctly. And it's about 54 minutes of just our discussion on that, just our interview back and forth. Pictures in it again from Brian Hallman. Brian actually contributed a couple more great pictures from his ARCA career. The first few pictures you see in the video are new ones that were not in the Bradbury video that was done earlier this month. Those actually show him running at Winchester, as well as a better look at the Buick that he ran at the short tracks there at the same time. So get some bonus content for the primary video as well. But very much enjoyed that too. And so that's kind of where we are. In the meantime, other projects that I'm working on, I'm decided to push the Hermie Sadler episode back a little bit, where I want to make sure I get an interview with Hermie before his video is done, although it seems like Hermie's been really busy in particular lately. I know he's had some other updates on his Skill Games lawsuit, dealing with some of his other businesses here. There's been a lot of developments that he's been posting on Twitter in the last week or so here. Hopefully by the end of the month, I'll be able to get spare at least a half hour with him. I have a lot of follow-up questions that I think would make that video really good. I think the script is really good. The research on that side is already done, but I think if I get a few more of those little details cleared up, I think it could get to where it needs to be. In the meantime, I've already I think I mentioned this on the December 12th show. I'm already working on doing the next episode of Rise of the Field Fillers, which is already planned out. I've actually been doing some more research on that this week. So whenever the Sadler episode's done, hopefully the next episode will take a lot less time to actually get finished. At least that's my hope. Luckily, this being during the off season, I think that's a great opportunity there as well. I also just yesterday finished doing updates to Formula Last One, which is my Formula One. It's basically a statistics book. It doesn't have a full account of every single Formula One season, but it does have the last place finishers chronicled and how many last place finishes they had. There was, in fact, a tie for the most last place finishes in Formula One history that was secured at the very last race of the season in Abu Dhabi. That is among the other updates that was made to the book just yesterday. The updates may not be available until Monday. They've already been uploaded on there. But if you have a previous version, you'll already have access to the new version on there. If you download it on Smashwords, that's a separate website there. They actually have each one of the updates listed separately, so you may have to re-download it there. But on Amazon, it should update automatically. Obviously, if you have any issues with that next week, definitely let me know, and we'll make sure that you get all the contents on that for sure as well. But thank you so much for tuning in here. Let's see. We got my window here. We got a few viewers in here. Thank you very much. So, yeah, absolutely. And I see Stickers and Scuffs is in here. Welcome aboard. Thank you for your support there as well. Yeah, you got, and we got the new graphics on here. Those of you who weren't here for our December 12th show, that's what I debuted here back then. So hopefully this will be something a little bit more typical for future shows going up ahead. I got definitely got the Santa hat out. Also brought this shirt out here. I just got this literally in the mail just before the show here, and I figured I'd throw it on here for tonight. Of course, the shirt that Starcom Racing issued to commemorate their few years in the Cup Series. Unfortunately, not coming back next year to compete with the next-gen cars at the Busch Light Clash and the rest of the season here. The team shutting down. Last I discussed with them back at Phoenix, they were planning a team auction this month. I haven't heard any updates on that when that's taking place, but we'll certainly find out as the month continues here. Of course, now going into the holidays, but definitely wanted to fly the flag again for Starcom Racing. The book on Derek Cope, of course, is still in the works. That's going to be kind of my big focus for next month here, is really trying to kind of fine tune that and hopefully get that much closer to being released there, or setting a release date in the near future here, and get that set up too. So, yeah, so we'll definitely be doing that too. So a lot of things working on here in the meantime. I've already, gosh, we had, oh yes, big thanks to those of you who checked out the eBay store here as well. I believe we sold like, man, I mean about like 40 or 45 the blind bag diecast there on the eBay page. So a huge thanks to those of you out there. Definitely, if you're looking to add something to your collection there, I just had added some more here in the meantime for you to check out. I'm particularly glad that a lot of them have come in for the holidays. I think there's one out there that it might end up being kicked towards Monday, but hopefully we'll see how things shape up on there. But I hope that if they're, if they do turn up in somebody's stockings, I certainly hope that is definitely added to the holidays there as well. Very happy to provide those, and I'm glad that is taken off. I'm looking to still keep that store going after the holidays, so make it easier. People want to get bumper stickers or things of that nature. I think that'll be interesting, but all of that is still available on here at the same time. So there you go. So, yeah, I guess really on the show here tonight, I definitely we'll do our trivia segment. I got a couple things for show and tell here as well, and we'll definitely get into that at the same time. We'll also talk more, if you have any other questions, of course, about the Bradbury video or anything else in the news, don't feel free, of course, to mention it in the comments here. Let's see. I'm just going over my notes here because I had quite a few updates on this. My goodness. I mean, where to start? Goodness. Let's see. Yeah, the Bradbury video, we talked about that. Yeah, it goes all the way back to when they had the announcement at Colleague Racing of their new lineup for next year. Of course, the big announcement on that, of course, AJ Allmendinger, Noah Gragson, and Daniel Hemrick being the three-headed lineup out there on the Cup Series side. Gragson already announced he was going to drive for Beard Motorsports in the Daytona 500, so splitting time with a couple different Chevrolet teams for next year. Haley in the 31 car. Somebody was pointing out rightly that this is the first time the 31 has not been fielded by Richard Childress Racing since Gary Bradbury's run at Atlanta in 1995, when A.G. Dillard's team ran its final race back then. So that was an interesting bit of a cross-section there as well. One thing I thought was very profound the other day, I was very pleased with when December 14th came around, how many comments there were about Alan Kulwicki and commemorating his birthday. I thought that was really cool. Everybody sharing so many stories and pictures and whatnot. Kulwicki's name is certainly not too far from everyone's lips these days. We've seen his throwback scheme more than a number of times, even just this past year, between both Chase Elliott's and Corey LaJoie's in particular. But at the same time there, it was really cool to see. I think that really, seeing something like that really kind of reminds me that there's a large amount of NASCAR's fan base that actually is very passionate about the sport's history, and names that may not be active anymore, or in Kulwicki's case, of course, no longer with us, but definitely still ones to talk about. Of course, today also people were mentioning that this is Tony Roper's birthday as well. Happy birthday to him up there in the great beyond, for sure. Roper, of course, one of the drivers figured in 3 Before February, talking about his career back in 2000. I thought a great picture that was shared today was actually one of both Bob Keselowski and Tony Roper. So that was very interesting to see, certainly at the same time there. Let's see. So, talk about some combustible elements in that colleague trio for the 16, Charles Peterson. Yeah, exactly. That's definitely. I think we got a very interesting group going there. Gregson's pick was very much a surprise. The one thing that I'm not the craziest about whenever they try to do one of these lineups there is that it feels like it kind of dulls the rivalries a little bit. We saw this very much with Dale Jr. when he went over to Hendrick Motorsports, where you used to have these great rivalries between him at DEI and Jeff Gordon at Hendrick. And of course, Hendrick's restrictor plate program was just starting to kind of get on the resurgence right when DEI was kind of at their very zenith before they started to kind of peter off. Those were some of the best rivalries that were out there, but we really didn't have that as much when Junior was over at Hendrick. I think people just tend to race themselves differently, or of course, whether they're sharing information, of course, that has a direct effect as well. But still at the, when it all shook down, hopefully we still see some good, if you have people that were literally swinging fists at each other just last year, or just this year exactly, with Hemrick and Gregson, that's going to be interesting. It really says something when AJ Allmendinger is probably going to be your least aggressive of the three, with Allmendinger already being as aggressive as he has been. But that's going to be, that's going to be another fantastic story to follow this year. I know that in some respects, I do think that the next gen car is going to level the playing field in some respects, but again, the big teams generally are going to still be the ones to figure it out, and it's going to come down to technical alliances as to how many boats are lifted by that same tide. I think, quite frankly, I think for the championship, I'm already willing to say any one of the Hendrick guys. I think pick one. It's very easy to say that, I know, with Kyle Larson coming off that championship and Chase Elliott being not that far behind him. But I think whenever NASCAR has introduced a new car, whether it was the car of tomorrow in 2007 or whether it was the next gen or the Gen 6 car in 2013, who was the championship both those times? It was Hendrick. And at times at a very dominant level, I think, so I don't expect that to be any different with the next gen car, especially with Jeff Gordon now taking on this added role there with the team. I say pick one and pick any of them. Frankly, I think Bowman and Byron, if they didn't have a little bit of bad luck at absolutely the worst time in the first two rounds of the playoffs, they could have very easily made it very close to the final four there. Now, ifs and buts are what they are, but neither of them had a terrible season, especially Bowman with the number of wins he picked up and winning that Martinsville race against Denny Hamlin. That if it came down to it, and Bowman had to win that race, we would be speaking a very different set of circumstances coming into Phoenix, perhaps, especially with Phoenix, of course, being Bowman's home track on top of all of that. I think you pick any one of those four, and anybody that's the closest to Hendrick is probably going to be the next best team out there. Now I don't know how that's going to shake out. I mean, there's other X factors out there. We don't know what's going on with the Toyota and the Ford teams, especially the new investment, of course, with Brad Keselowski into the Roush Fenway organization. But all of that is going to be discovered in due time, and we'll certainly find out about that as well. I'm getting a little parched here, folks, but I do have a beverage here. In place of the usual Red Dew, I did invest in one of these gingerbread snapped ones. Not sponsored, by the way, but of course you do see the Red Dew in the intro. So I don't know if any of you guys have tried this yet. I have not. And I was thinking when it came to do this show, probably the best time to actually try it would be on here, although that might be the worst time. So I don't exactly know what to expect on this. I liked Holiday Spice Pepsi. I think that was like 2004. That was pretty good. Not sure exactly if this is going to turn out well, so we'll see. Ooh, sure it's not. Okay, good. Yeah, okay. Not bad. Not bad, I gotta say. I expected that to be horrifying, but that was not bad. It tastes like just like a regular Mountain Dew that they just dumped a ton of cinnamon into, which may or may not be your thing. So I don't know, but yeah, okay, not bad. I don't know if it's better than Holiday Spice, but that would probably be another thing on there. So I'd definitely try that. I'm glad I didn't spit this out on camera because I didn't have anything set up for that. Yeah, okay, that'll work. I'm gonna keep that on the ready here. So, of course, the other big story this week, well, just this week alone, has to be the decision by NASCAR to go to 670 horsepower. And to that, yes, absolutely. I mean, come on, who isn't happy about this? Just wait till NASCAR discovers that number can actually go even higher, to 750 or 800 horsepower. Yes, I mean, obviously fantastic news. And the 4-inch spoiler, too. Big motor, small blade. It's almost as if an entire segment of the internet has been saying that for the last however many years they've had this 550 package. Great decision. Let's go ahead and give this a try. And the Xfinity series, especially modeling it off the Xfinity series horsepower and how good the Xfinity series has been. I mean, I've not been the only one who's enjoyed that a great deal more than the Cup Series. The Cup Series should be the very top of the top. They should have the best racing. They should have the hardest cars to control, and they should really bring out the driver's individual skill a lot more. And I think really, by having an opportunity to give these drivers more of their individual style back, maybe people will get to understand them a bit more. If you understand, who is who's more the Rusty Wallace kind of driver and who's more the Mark Martin kind of driver, which one's more aggressive, which one's more conservative, which one's just flat out faster. That was one thing I think that was great about talking about, different time, like in the 1990s in the sport, is you would generally have drivers that were distinguishable by their styles. You just haven't really seen that. People do talk about Martin Truex driving more like Mark Martin. And then other guys, we talk about Noah Gragson in the Xfinity series and stuff being more aggressive. But sometimes when you watch the race, it's really hard to tell who's actually really, really driving the heck out of those cars and on the very verge of control. It really depends on which track too. Very hard to tell at a place like a Las Vegas or a typical mile and a half, but a place like Darlington with the tire drop off, it becomes a little bit clearer. Even with the 550 package in 2019, it seemed like you could still tell who was really struggling out there and who was able to kind of keep pace. It was an interesting comparison versus the 2017 race there a couple years earlier when we were covering that one. Yeah, go ahead, at least give that a run. I mean, again, I know it's not going to be the super speedways. I mean, that's it seems obvious. The super speedways have always been their own creature. Atlanta's test is going to be interesting. I'm a little nervous about that. I think that they are still creating quite the Frankenstein down there in Georgia. The width of the front straightaway is strange. I don't know. I still think you're probably going to get a single groove track at the start just because there's going to be one preferred lane. I think it's going to be very similar to like 97 when they did reconfigure it to this quad oval, although with much narrower and much lower banking, of course, that we had before then. But even then, very, very fast track. At times, some very serious hits. Tim Steele's career was ultimately curtailed by an accident around that same time period there. Hopefully, hope for a safe test and definitely a revealing one. I would fully expect that they're probably going to go with the 550 package. I think that was kind of their intent when they actually went through with this reconstruction. They're probably anticipating something that was going to kind of tighten the field up a bit. I know that there's been some talk about it being producing pack racing. I'm not even sure with the 550 it's going to be capable of doing that. Again, I do think it's still going to probably be single file there. And if it is, it's going to be just blindingly fast. I'm not sure if that's the direction they intended to go, but that may be where it ends up until that surface gets worn in a bit. But that test is going to be interesting. I hope they get as many cars out there as possible to really show the effect of that. I mean, I could be completely wrong about that. And maybe the extra widening of the front straightaway is necessary so that it doesn't create that. But that is kind of my concern a little bit. But we'll certainly find out. Let's see. Also, I want to give a big shout out, to a couple of people here, especially with a lot of the news of these past couple of weeks there. Of course, again, hearts go out to the people affected by the tornadoes in Kentucky, Arkansas, and that whole section down there. But there was some very positive news on that front. So many people in the NASCAR community being directly involved in the rebuilding efforts out there. We saw Rick Allen, for one, working with Team Rubicon down there on actually cleaning up the destruction down there and working on the rebuilding efforts out there. I know I personally have been very outspoken in how much I'm not really a fan of his broadcasting, but let it not be said that he is not a decent guy. I mean, that's fantastic for him. I thought that was really cool to see. Apparently Carl Edwards was down there too. I know Edwards has made a bit of news and everybody's trying to wonder if he's going to come back racing or not. I mean, he seemed pretty clear that he's not going to. But cool to see him out there. Of course, he lives in that neck of the woods there too. And at the same time, Rick Ware Racing. Big shout out to them. They did a big toy drive and drove some semis down there to help with the recovery efforts and all that. For the holiday season. I think that was a fantastic gesture there. And again, from a team that I know that people have mixed emotions on from their performance and everything, but hey, their heart's in the right place there. So kudos to Rick Ware and the folks over at Rick Ware Racing. They're great folks over there. So and I hope that gets more people become aware of that. In the days and weeks ahead there, helping that area too. So that was certainly good to see. Also good to see here was, of course, the breaking ground of the Clash at the Coliseum. I was very surprised to see how much of the surface was actually being torn up. I thought practically they were going to keep the field there and just kind of pave over whatever ring track was around the stadium. It really looks like they've just kind of cleared out the entire area and are going to be building all this. From Pockrass's first tweet about this at the initial production, it seemed to be indicating that they were going to just be actually just building all this and then tearing it back up. I'm not sure how practical that's going to actually be. This isn't exactly like the Bristol dirt race where you have a situation where it's going to be some kind of an effort here. Looks like we might have a guest here. Come here, Badgie. Come on. Oh, nope, you're going to come over here. Come over here. Hang on, Badgie. Whoop. Hey, get over here. Hey, come on. We have one of our dogs has just run into the room, folks. Hang on, we might have a little bonus content here. Badgie, come on. You're gonna have to let me pick you up. If you don't let me pick you up, it's a problem. Come on. Hey, come on. Don't you wait. Get over here. He's not coming over. Badgie, come on. Here. One moment here, folks. All right. You want to wear the hat? Uh-oh. I'm not sure if you want to wear the hat. Oh, he's not gonna. Nope, he's not gonna want to wear the hat. Okay. Alrighty. Well, didn't count on this, folks, but we do have. I know we've had I think 2 of our dogs on here. So here is number 3. This. Oh gosh, he's all curled up here. This is Badger, one of our 2 rescues that we picked up this past summer. He and his sister Bunny, I'm sure, is pawing at the door here at the meantime, been out. But yeah, here he is. So yeah. Oh, there we go. Just making sure he wasn't sneaking in. All right. You want to sit down, buddy? You want to? Oh gosh, he just curls up just like this constantly. You'll be surprised. He's actually usually quite a bit more noisy and moves around a bit more, but I think he's just a little camera shy, so we'll see if he wants to just kind of. You want to sit down? Buddy? Oh gosh, there he's. Oh, he's working me. I shouldn't have worn a black shirt because that's a little harder to see him, but yeah. But there's. Oh, you wanna say hi to the folks? Oh, there we go. I can see him a little better. There you go. All right. You want to sit down here? You want to sit down? I think you were sniffing at the mic last time I had you. Oh, there he goes. There you go. You want to sit down there? You gonna be good? You're gonna be good? There we go. All right. Well, we'll see how that works here. We'll have him chill out here with us. All right. All right. Oh, he's adorable. Okay. Well, glad you like him. He'll be sticking around here for the show here, so we'll have him chill out. All right. There we go. Oh, yeah. There you go. He doesn't usually get in this room. I'll tell you that much, too. All right. Well, all right. There you go. I'll put this over here so you can see him a little better if he sticks his head up here, too. Okay. Yeah, where were we? Oh, yes, the Clash. The work that's been doing they've been doing on the track in LA has been interesting. I've been very surprised that again they're tearing up that much of the surface there, and some of the renderings actually made it look like they were going to have an infield of some extent. Like, I mean, it had a couple people there. I'm sure that was for first responders and making sure people can actually get on the track rather than have to go through the tunnel from the parking lot that that the garage area is going to be in, at least according to Pockrace's reports. I don't know if media is going to get there. I'm not holding my breath on that. I'm still figuring out kind of the logistics of, again, what's the quickest way to get into and out of the stadium as a pedestrian if that whole lower section is going to be blocked off. There's a lot of logistical things that I think everybody's going to still be figuring out here. So that's going to be another part of it there too. So we'll find out. Oh, come on. There you go. But really, yeah, really interesting to see. And cool to see Michael Waltrip there at the groundbreaking and everything. And I guess at the Rams game, checking his watch. So there was there was a lot of that. NASCAR has been very visible this past week. I got to say, I think Tony Roper was even trending on Twitter. I don't know if that was intended to be specifically him or it was just coincidental there. But I saw that somewhere the other day or earlier today, rather. Let's see here. So yeah, we talked about the next gen testing. Okay. Mike Harmon lost the appeal on the supposed test at Rockingham. Yeah, I mean, I can't say that's entirely surprising. Again, I do have mixed feelings about it. I hate that they're getting docked with that because that's going to be a real problem for them. They already weren't very good in the owner points. But it could also, of course, be argued that, yeah, that was probably a reason to be more careful. If they're going to be running the old Dodge there and they sold the car off fine, but that was very clearly the same car that they had at Phoenix. It was an unfortunate decision. I mean, I can't be too hard on somebody that's deciding, it just messes up. I mean, I think that was a mistake. But NASCAR, in particular, they're eager to make an example out of anyone, especially if they have a particular rule that's not really been tested that much, literally. And of course, this whole testing thing here, I think NASCAR would probably be better served to, point out, look, we're very strict about this. We don't want you guys testing anywhere. And if somebody like Mike Harmon's team is getting caught out doing it at Rockingham, imagine other stuff that's going on that may or may not be going on that rides the line with maybe some of the bigger teams out there. So maybe in the interest of fairness out there, it probably would be best that they took such a stringent approach there. But I do hate it for Harmon's team. I think it's the last thing they needed. Frankly, going into next year, I hope that they could still make something work. Maybe that, if it's just going to be a matter, I mean, I would think if it's particularly focused, I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember if the penalty affected both the 47 and the 74, or if it was just the 74, since that was the one car that was there. If there is some difference with that, it seems like Weatherman in the 47 was a team that was performing a bit better in the 74 in 2020, and certainly was noticeably better in 2021. Maybe they could put more of their effort into that program. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but yeah, I certainly hope that things work out for the best for all parties involved, certainly, of course. So we'll find out what's happening. But yeah, it is unfortunate. It is unfortunate. They I hate it for them, but they shouldn't have put themselves in that situation. Because sometimes when you put yourself in situations like that, you get in the system. The system's either going to make mistakes or you're going to find out the system is a lot stricter than it is. So staying out of the system, I think, is probably the best advice you can give people into or out of the sport, frankly, one way or the other. So, oh gosh, actually I went through these subjects a bit quicker than I thought we were going to. So the other thing, the other story where this week, it seems like all of Twitter was like, oh my God, the sky is falling. A sponsor is leaving a team and even not sponsoring NASCAR anymore. Can you believe it? M&M's, for those of you who do not know, has left, as announced, they're going to leave not only Joe Gibbs Racing at the end of 2022, but also NASCAR. And apparently they are very happy with their return on investment, but they're looking to take things a different direction. Actually, not too different from what Dodge said back when they decided to take things a different direction in their effort as well. you don't want to see a big sponsor leave the team, and I don't want to minimize all the effort that M&M's has put into the sport over these years. In fact, their roots go all the way back to 1997 and the start of MB2 Motorsports, when, of course, they ran more the Skittles brand, and then the M&M's brand came along more with Ernie Irvan in the following season in '98. And so that goes pretty far back that time. So that activation has always been there. Yeah, it's going to be very weird to not have them out there. But we've lost even more sponsors than that that have just not been out there, and we just haven't seen them be as prevalent. We haven't really seen STP be nearly as prevalent as it once used to be. I remember when it was a big deal that they were pulling out, and that was multiple decades of backing at the same time. That was like earth-shattering news. But Petty Enterprises was able to continue on for a few years. I think the loss of Adam Petty had a more devastating effect on that team than actually the loss of STP. Bringing General Mills on board, who did stay with them really right up to the end of that team's actual existence, showed that they were able to kind of build brand loyalty as best they could. It does stink. Obviously, I mean, they've had some of the best paint schemes out there. They've been iconic. With Kyle Busch in particular, especially when he, absolutely made that ride his own in 2008, bringing it back from the doldrums after Bobby Labonte left the team. So, it's certainly one to be said. We're going to see more branding from Interstate Batteries, apparently, from what we're seeing in some of the renderings and some of the reports so far. But yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but again, it's something that NASCAR survived before. I mean, if NASCAR has been able to survive certain personalities, certain drivers or teams even leaving the sport, it used to be unimaginable that you would have like that you wouldn't have Holman Moody out there, or you wouldn't have Bud Moore Engineering out there, or Richard Jackson, or any of these other organizations out there. But it did happen. And then, there's been other sponsors. I'm trying to think of like ones that, have just not been as prevalent. I mean, the whole Dodge thing. I mean, that was not only a manufacturer, but that was a sponsor when they had their factory teams out there with Evernham's team, and how that got glommed into what was left of Richard Petty's team into the RPM group there. It's unfortunate. I mean, sponsors come and go, even the sponsors that are, long time ones. I never thought we wouldn't see a Home Depot car out there, but that kind of came and went like, nothing. I mean, that was after a whole decade, if not more. So that, where's our Budweiser cars out there? I mean, you got the Busch Light ones, but okay. I mean, even a sponsor substitution could be something significant. We don't have, any numbers. I mean, the list goes on. That's, again, I think I would not consider that being the sky is falling. It could be even a matter of fact where maybe sponsors are coming in that are even squeezing them out. Maybe even the amount of money that they have to put into it is something that they can't put into it. We don't exactly know the full details of the circumstances of it. We know that they were very happy with the results they had. I mean, how could they not be from that time with Kyle Busch and scoring a couple championships with their logos? It's too bad, but again, the sport's gone through more, and knowing that sponsor has gone through MB2 Motorsports and Robert Yates Racing, and Joe Gibbs Racing, and all these other companies along the line there. I mean, it's interesting kind of looking back at it, but again, if whenever a door closes like that, it's opening up opportunities for other brands to come in. And it'll be interesting to see who that's going to be. Cause Kyle Busch is still a hot property. And, I think that's gonna be, more of a positive thing. Yeah. Lowe's, there you go. WF Hornet. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's a huge one to not mention. Yeah. I mean, we're talking similar time period. I mean, and now you had this Ally Bank thing that's come in there, and we talked about Bowman earlier in the show here. He's really kind of filled the seat of that 48 and scored wins of his own and made that ride his own. Even when Jimmy was kind of struggling with the Ally Bank sponsor. I mean, it's something that Bowman's been able to make work for himself. It used to be The Interstate Battery sponsorship that we mentioned there in the 18 car used to be that was the only sponsor they had. I mean, obviously, dating back to 92 when they actually started the team. They still have a presence out there, but they're not really that much. Miller Lite is another one that comes to mind. The fact that they're not the sponsor of the 2 car, unimaginable. Unimaginable. I couldn't have even thought of that back in 2000 or 2001 when Rusty Wallace was out there. And then even all those years that Keselowski had it, the fact that they ran it. And I thought it was cool that they finally won the 600 last year and won it in that last effort with the sponsor, at least the last now. I don't know if that's changed any with Cindric getting in the car this season, this next season. That doesn't sound like it. But I think that was really good to see. So, but yeah, I mean, these are brands that have backed out, that you just, yeah. Well, I mean, I was about to say DuPont, but even the Exalta brand has kind of popped up here and there too. But, again, I think that's sometimes it's also an aspect of, the sport itself where everybody's got 9 or 10 different paint schemes they run throughout the year. And even the big teams have that too. M&M's could be just as much casualty of that as well. I mean, obviously they weren't sponsoring every race towards these last few seasons. They were sharing it with other brands, of course. But yeah, they were generally a large enough part of the schedule. It seems like nowadays, whatever paint scheme somebody runs for like 16 or 24 races or something like that, that's kind of viewed as their primary. I still kind of like to view things in that framework there because I liked it when, teams ran the same paint scheme each week and it became something kind of recognizable. But obviously the business model changed so much, especially after 2009 or so, where you just don't have that anymore. And it's not just the small teams like it used to be. Now it's the big teams. I mean, Joe Gibbs may just find themselves in exactly that same situation. So yeah, they lost Home Depot, just like Hendrick lost Lowe's, and then they're losing M&M's, then they'll find somebody else. But it's too bad. I mean, from a paint scheme standpoint, I could definitely understand the frustration there because I do think they had some of the best ones. I still think my favorite has to be the 2004 grayscale car that Elliott Sadler ran in the Daytona 500 that year. And my second favorite actually is Kyle Busch's M&M's Minis car that he had at Pocono, like the one that got wrecked by Ryan Blaney there in 2020. I thought that was a fantastic paint scheme. We see the one with the regular size M&Ms on there so much. The one with the really small ones on there, I thought looked really cool. I thought that was really nice. So, but yeah, I am going to miss that, but I'm sure it's going to open the door for somebody else to come in there because, Kyle Busch is not, he hasn't dropped off the face of the earth here, even with Hendrick's resurgence here these last couple of seasons. So we'll see what happens. Did he break the Miller glass, WF Hornet? I didn't see that. I mean, I know he brought it to Phoenix and he was drinking out of it there. I didn't know it got broken. That's too bad. Shoot. But yeah. Let's see. Oh gosh, you can't really see on the camera here, but the dog's all crashed out here. Let me see if we can bring the camera down. There, there you go. Oh, no, he's up a little bit. There we go. Oh, nope, you perked up there? There you go, buddy. He's turned into a pretty good lap dog. He was so crazy when we first brought him here, and I guess they still fight around the house, but yeah, this dog's been definitely taking it easy here. Oh, come on, buddy. There you go. So, let me see. Let me check my other notes here. So we'll do, again, those of you just tuning in here, I see we got about 27 viewers in here. Okay, thank you again for joining. We'll do our trivia segment here tonight and a couple of things for show and tell. We're going to do that pretty soon, actually, because I've got most of my news stories kind of covered here. Another thing I want to talk about was I was very pleased to see on, I think it was Twitter just last Friday, Bob Pockris actually doing some history videos on Twitter. He did one on Jeff Bodine, the You Kids Don't Know series. I don't know if that's the one they're going to stick with. But I thought it was pretty neat. I thought it was cool that he's doing driver profiles on it. I will point out that I'm sure a lot of people did that, it made a couple kind of surprising errors in it, like showing his 89 Watkins Glen wreck happening at Sears Point or saying that his last win was in 1995 at Watkins Glen, when actually it was 96. 95 was Mark Martin over Wally Dallenbach in the MBNA car. But that aside, I think the sport does well when, people are, again, talking about its history. We talk about this with the Alan Kowicki thing, and, and again, the response with Bob Keselowski and so forth are also been indicators of this as well. There's a lot of respect for the history, a lot of interest in it, certainly. And, perhaps in earnest, people are still kind of getting their feet under him. And Pockrass, of course, has a tremendous influence in the sport in terms of, presenting news and the work that he does with Fox Sports and everything. So to see him on that group, great, as far as I'm concerned. I think that's fantastic. I think that's great for the sport. I think the more people that are a part of it, and hopefully, they take, that extra step to maybe kind of, really put even more of that production value behind it and more of that research behind it to get, the best stuff out there. I think that could be something really great for the sport. I think, what I do, or what NASCAR Man does, or Slap Shoes, or Black Flags Matter, or Iceberg and all that. I mean, I think it's great that there's a lot of people out there on YouTube that are doing it. And now that's starting to get into the mainstream. Now we're starting to see, oh, wait, this is something that they're doing. This is something we should probably be doing too. So I think that was a very positive thing to see. Not sure if I would go with the title "You Kids Don't Know," because I'll tell you what, and a lot of you guys in here, probably, are among this group too. I think a lot of the younger fans are some of the most knowledgeable fans in NASCAR. I think you can't take for granted. It's like, oh, well, you kids don't know that Jeff Bodine won the 1986 Daytona 500. It's like, well, I think there's probably a lot of people that are like, still in high school that can tell you the margin of victory and who is in second place. I think there's a lot of very sharp fans out there. I don't think it was a series intended to deride younger fans. I think that, but I do think that, I think it was a strange angle to take, because there's a lot of things I mess up in my videos, and then somebody will post it in the comments there and be like, oh yeah, oh my gosh, I completely forgot about that. Yeah. Thanks for bringing it up. That's where it's talking about a field filler. So if you're talking about a big name like Jeff Bodine or something like that, I think it's going to be very hard to stump a lot of people on that. So but again, I don't want to detract too much from it being good to see that Fox is putting some effort behind this and, creating this content, because it had a real positive, effect. I think Todd Bodine liked it. Mark Martin liked it. Every other people, people were seeing it. And I think there is an active interest in getting these stories brought out there as much as possible. But maybe, maybe the researchers are not quite up to snuff there either. At the same time, I can't help but notice that these things are noticeable, and I'm sure they're noticeable to you guys whenever I make a mistake on something here too. So there's that too. But that's good. But that's comforting too, because that shows there's a lot of value in not just the interest in the sport, but also in the ability to research it too. And I think that's where we get along there at the same time. Actually, if memory serves, I think Steve Wade and Rick Houston had a similar discussion to this on their own subject on what was it, one of the Rick Wilson episodes or something. So they had that too. But that would be definitely ones to certainly talk about there too. Hey there, Arizona's Gaming Village. Welcome to other people on here. Eric Sipes, I saw your comment there as well. A video on Bob Keselowski, I mean, that's certainly an option there as well. I haven't done as much like ARCA content out there, but I mean, it's an interesting story as well. And again, I don't want this stream to be too sad, really, honestly. But I mean, there's a lot of NASCAR history we've lost this year. And Steve Richards and Bob Keselowski are just the latest examples of it. You think back to Robin Miller, Bob Jenkins, Del McCowart, Nancy Wood, so many other figures, in the sport this year. I mean, I know that happens every year. I mean, there's people you lose, but again, I think that's the important thing, is to really kind of chronicle these stories as much as possible. I'll tell you what, I mean, I think more than anything, it's really kind of made me think more about other ones I want to talk to for other projects I'm working on, to make sure that gets out there. Cause I actually do have a list of some other projects on individual drivers, like the Gary Bradbury one, even outside the Rise of the Field Fillers, that I hope is going to be something that'll be, really interesting. I was very pleased with Bradbury's reaction, and I hope that there's other stories out there that get shared too. But yeah, I'm hopeful that something on Bob Kozlowski comes together. I'm certainly open to it. We'll see when something comes together there on that. I know PRN just did a very emotional segment on Steve Richards that definitely recommend checking out there. But there'll be, but yeah, I think commemorating that history and presenting it as best as you possibly can. I think there's a lot of value in that, and I think there's a lot of people who share that interest, and that's certainly good to see. So we'll hopefully, keep that going as much as we possibly can. Kind of again, thinking back to Starcom Racing, think about it. Even whether you lose a driver, you lose a media member, you lose a team. I think it's something that's worth noting at the same time. There, I mean, I'll tell you, that's definitely other ones to certainly talk about there too. And even the sponsorship. I mean, what we're talking about here with the M&M sponsorship. That's other ones to mention also. Barron Speedway. I want to mention them as well. I thought it was really cool. This was tweeted, I think, just yesterday or the day before. The diecast. He made custom diecasts of a lot of the field fillers from 2004. I thought that was just the coolest thing. He had like Arnold Motorsports, Phoenix Racing. If you check, I think it's at Barron Speedway on Twitter. If you haven't seen the picture already, I think I retweeted it on my account there as well. He did a great job doing ones. And I did mention this, and I dropped this deliberately. There's teams in there that, of course, have been covered in Rise of the Field Fillers. And there's a couple others that haven't, but are definitely planned to be covered in there too. May not be really too much of a surprise, but there's, I believe, two in that picture that are individually planned for their own episodes further down the line here. So definitely keep an eye out for that. So these next couple episodes I'm working on for Rise of the Field Fillers, they're definitely not planning to be the last episodes of the series there. So we'll have some more on that too. Yeah, Eric McClure. Thank you, Russell Martin. Exactly. See, I mean, again, so many people this year alone. I know, there's a lot of people to certainly talk about. Imogene McDuffie is another one. Again, people, drivers, family members, and so forth on that. On the subject of McDuffie as well, I tweeted this yesterday, and again, this was actually posted from Linda McDuffie's Facebook. She actually got her 83 Monte Carlo SS refired again. She hadn't driven it in 20 years. According to her, this was actually a car that Jeannie McDuffie bought her the first year that they were available. I think they only came out in this. They only had them in this like bluish blackish color the first year they came out. She had that one. She drove it through college, and during that time in her life there, and she still has it. As far as I know, she's still keeping it. I think she was looking into selling it. I don't know if that's gone through or anything like that. I know they were getting new tires for it today. But really cool to see, I think. And again, that kind of goes again into the discussion of, dovetailing into, the history of the sport, and everything else on that aspect too. So that's definitely one to certainly, talk about there as well. Also, I don't want to get too far afield in this, with this, for here too, but, the article I posted after the Bubba Wallace documentary, I think that there was, and again, you can check out the article if you haven't read it yet there. But I think there was some positives to certainly glean from it, some negatives at the same time. I think the central issue was what the intent of making the documentary was. Obviously, chronicling Bubba Wallace's first victory at Talladega this past year is tremendous. I think it's definitely something worth talking about. His effort with Michael Jordan, but I think the best thing that documentary did was again really remind of like, I think there's this perception that Bubba Wallace has always been treated badly in the sport, that people have been booing him the whole time, and I think I was very pleased in that documentary that it showed times where he was, extremely popular, where, he got into the Daytona 500 and, you're not supposed to clap in the media center, but, he gets second place in the Daytona 500 in 2018 and everybody's applauding him. I mean, that's like, that's huge. That doesn't happen. That's like not the done thing, but people knew that was a significant moment. The Wendell Scott thing, when he drove the truck at Martinsville, I thought that was shown really well. I thought it integrated Wendell Scott's biography really well into the story, especially if you're an outsider watching it. I think that was a good job. As I said, though, I do think that there were other aspects that were either left out that should have really been in there, or other details that were just kind of rushed over. And that was kind of the issue I had. Maybe it was a restriction of just having it be one video instead of a multi-part series. Maybe in a multi-part series, it would have handled it better. But yeah, that was really, I was disappointed in its shortcomings, and that definitely, comes across in the article there as well. I was very surprised that none of 2017 was in there. I think personally for me, I think the most significant moment in Bubba Wallace's career before he actually won his first race was in 2017 when he made his Cup debut and his best friend Ryan Blaney wins the race, and the two of them are celebrating in victory lane, and Blaney's driving for the Wood Brothers and he's driving for Richard Petty. And it's like, wow, like, look, this is the future of the sport. The future of the sport are these kids, and they're recognizing, as we're recognizing here, the history of the sport. And, driving for two, legacy teams. Obviously, the Petty team has been reorganized, but still, the number's still there, and it's going to be there next year. But I thought that was a really huge moment. I thought that really should have, the way the film was kind of going, it felt like it needed to be in there. And it was, I was very disappointed that was left out. And I think that kind of affected the way the rest of it went, because the rest of it felt very rushed, and it kind of gleamed over other details that really shouldn't have been. And I thought that was very disappointing. So if you haven't checked out the article, it's still on the, well, of course it's still on the site. It's my site. So, but you haven't checked out my article on that, you can definitely check that out as well. And of course, if you have any questions on that, we can certainly address that at the same time. But yeah, so certainly. So we'll get into our trivia segment here next. Let me see. Do I have any other? I'm going to make sure I have all my subjects covered on this. I should have some kind of thing on the screen where I just have the subjects listed. I was thinking of doing like what ESPN does, where they have it on the screen, then like one gets deleted like after they mention it. I need something like that, because I keep looking at my phone instead, and that just kind of gets weird looking. But I don't know. Maybe that'll be something in the future. I gotta figure out. I'm glad I got this part figured out. I even got figured out how to change the colors in the background, so I got that worked out. But we'll try to do something along the ways here for you guys. Okay, I think that's pretty much most of that part. Oh yeah, that was the last show we did. We talked about the Formula One championship, so that was a lot of fun. Alrighty. So, okay, dogs crashed out again. Okay, alrighty. So I'm gonna get another swig of this here, and then we'll jump into our trivia segment here, and we'll do some show and tell here along the way. That's surprising. That really should be disgusting. Like, I mean, when I saw this, I bought this a couple weeks ago, and it's just been sitting in my fridge. It's really not bad. It's really not bad. So yeah, not not sponsored. Still not as good as the red. The red is still the best, but that's not bad. That's one of the biggest surprises, I gotta say. So right on there. Okay. Let me see here. Whoop. Actually, I do have a couple notes that I put here at the same time. So a couple things here. I want to thank David out there. I did receive this in the mail here, and I definitely want to make sure I show this on the show here tonight. I did not have one of these here, and I was very surprised to see this. Very pleased to see this in the post office here. J.D. McDuffie Bank from 1994. I believe this is a rendering of his 88 paint scheme here. Really thought that was really cool. So, they have even put like the Hoosier tires on there. Looks closer to like, I was thinking more like 89 with like when he made the 500, but I mean, this is more like the car from his unfortunate accident there with the fire in the cockpit. But it is an interesting depiction of it here. Really cool details with it. Of course, featuring prominently the Rumpel Furniture branding there as well. Blue paint scheme on this. Did a really nice job. This is produced in 94. And it was good that they have all the details done very well. Even the yellow numbers on the doors versus the white numbers on the roof kind of the different patterns that were shown from that time period here. So thank you to David for sending that out this week. I definitely got to make sure to find a good space for it here at NASCAR headquarters. One thing I picked up myself around the same time, these just came in the other day to go with our Gary Bradbury video here. I found an auction that had a couple old Gary Bradbury postcards. So some of these are pretty hip. And so we got these here. Some of these, very similar. The Triad Motorsports here. Again, one other thing that's great with Bradbury, I didn't talk about this in the video really. Again, back in a time where most of the drivers had mustaches. And, Gary is so fascinating to me because he's very much a throwback. Like you would think if he came out in the sport, if he was in the Cup Series in the early 90s, I think it would have been different than him being in the Cup Series as a relative newcomer in the late 90s. I think that's kind of the difference there. Of course, the open-faced Simpson helmet and everything, I thought that was pretty neat. Nothing on the back here on this. This is just like a regular card, but I thought that was pretty interesting here. Also, the Gary Bradbury wearing the bright red Bradbury racing uniform. Most all of his starts. This is something I didn't really talk to him about either. He didn't really have his own driver uniform or one that he wore for other teams, at least in the early part of his career. There's also a time in about 97 or so with TriStar Motorsports, looked like he had kind of his own, he was wearing basically whatever the previous driver's uniform was. But for a lot of his career, he wore just this plain red and white uniform here. Of course, he ran his own team in the Cup Series for a few starts in 95. And then driving for the Pilot Travel Center's car later in his career. But interesting to see this as well. Nothing on the back of this one, but a good picture there of him as well. I want to make sure to scan these as well because I think these came out really nicely. Whoever previously had these, they really took care of them. And then, of course, the last one. This one's been seen a bit more, but actual card of the Pilot Travel Center's number 78 car, the Jim Wilson entry. And the Ford Taurus there. This one actually does have some great captions on the back. And I believe that's Richard Broom as the crew chief there, who formerly worked at Hendrick Motorsports, was actually involved with the team. That was somebody I wasn't aware was involved in that effort back then. But it does mention Gary's statistics on here. Won Rookie of the Year in ARCA in 94. Finished third in the 94 ARCA points race. Second in the ARCA 200 in 95. The All-Pro Series, 1990 to 93. His first race in Atlanta, 94. But yeah, his wife's Karen, his children Crystal and Kelly. So you have that. And you've got the profile here of the Pilot Travel Center's company. Of course, always interesting that you identify much more with Michael Annett, who just ran his last race, at least as a full-time driver back at Phoenix there. But still interesting to see the branding, what it was beforehand. So that's kind of cool. But talking about Richard Broom working with Jeff Bodine in the 1986 Daytona 500. So a little bit of a crossover there as well. Let's see here. Yeah, just checking the other details on this. Well, this is kind of interesting. I didn't know Pilot had its own restaurants, or I guess had affiliations with it. Arby's, Blimpie, Dairy Queen, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Crystal, Pizza Hut, Steak and Shake, Subway, Taco Bell, TJ Cinnamons, never heard of that one, and Wendy's. I always figured that the travel centers was just the travel center, but I guess they usually have like a restaurant in them. I never really thought about that, but I guess there's that too. But yeah, but anyway, but kind of an interesting one, and especially as you heard from the video, apparently this was not a very rich sponsor at the time. I mean, it still was a full effort, and they were going to run at least a majority of the schedule that season. It's just they had several DNQs that dropped them out of competition there. But apparently this was not a very rich sponsor. And really by 99, they were very much struggling, even with just partial sponsorship from them. So that really kind of was the reason that 78 team kind of ceased to be. But still another aspect of the story to certainly talk about there. Alrighty. Let's see here. So where are we? Where did I put it? Did I put that here? Oh, nope, it's down here. Okay, folks. So we're going to jump into our trivia segment here for tonight. All right, here we go. We're bringing out this again here, of course. So we're going to do some questions here. The categories again are NASCAR, pits, teams, tracks, drivers, and the wild card. Those categories again: NASCAR, pits, teams, tracks, drivers, and the wild card. Those are your categories for tonight. So go ahead and pick which category you'd like in the chat. Don't be a stranger there. Go ahead and mention it there. In the meantime, while you guys are counting that out, I have something, well, I guess the equivalent of something completely different from the rest of our discussions here at the show here tonight as well. Those of you who maybe checked out my Twitter account late on Thursday night saw me react to a certain anime trailer for the return of Tide Kubo's magnum opus Bleach. That is something that I'm afraid I was hooked on, and I don't want to sound like a bandwagon jumper because I know that Cody Ware and Slapshoes are much more the anime flag bearers here in the NASCAR community. I can't say I have exactly the same knowledge that either of them do, but yeah, but I will show you this that I also have to complete our thing here. I bought this in 2009, I believe, and whoop, there you go. Camera left. So yeah, this shirt probably doesn't fit me anymore, but I'm afraid I do own an anime shirt for Bleach on this. So yeah, I'm not sure how many of you guys out there are anime fans, but yeah, definitely wanted to mention that there at the same time. Very excited to see that show come back. I grew up. Gosh, this is after college. So I guess I didn't grow up watching it, but I got old watching it. That's probably the equivalent there. I actually was in an anime club in college. It was called Cal Animage Epsilon. We had a great group of us that like every Thursday would watch, I think it was like 2 or 3 hours of different shows, Melody of Oblivion, Boogie Pop Phantom, Gankutsuo, all these other ones there. And so that was a lot of fun. So we did that, and I've been just kind of watching shows here and there. I haven't watched as much lately. I haven't seen as many shows like hook me. I think nowadays stuff has just gotten like really crazy now. But I definitely grew up watching Bleach on, or got old again, watching Bleach on Adult Swim there those years, and that was a lot of fun. And hearing that they're bringing that show back next year, I think it's a lot of fun. Don't know what to expect exactly, except the fact that shirt absolutely does not fit me. But that'll be something kind of fun to check out there. So a little bit of inside information, a little bit different from our typical discussions here, but I do have that as well. At least Yoruichi is hot. Absolutely, WF Hornet. Yeah, very much agreed. So yeah, not mentally prepared for talk about anime. Yeah, I don't blame you for sure. No, yeah, yeah. I have to say Yoruichi, Lady Yoruichi, exactly. There's the proper title. And Soifone, those are some fantastic characters. The thing with Bleach that's fascinating, and again, I'm going to be talking over the heads of probably half of you guys in here, but the thing I always liked about that show, I liked the style of it, and it always had this bizarre self-confidence, even from the start, but you didn't know what it was. Like the opening just shows the title's name like over and over again, like, oh, you know what this is, you know what this is, you know it's the best show, and it just kind of feels like that through the whole thing. And I think the show's weakest points were when it was trying to be funny. I think those parts kind of sucked, but I think the parts where it's trying to be awesome are the parts that are the best. And so it's like, I think the person that Tide Kubo made the show, I think he said like, okay, I'm going to make a show where every character is a 10 and every character is like extremely powerful and every character for some reason is constantly fighting each other. And that's basically the show. And I guess you could say a lot of other shows fall into that. I guess Dragon Ball is like that too. But I think I always like the way Bleach did it. I always thought it was pretty funny. I think that's why I didn't like it when it was trying to be funny, because when it was trying to be awesome, it would make you laugh, but it would still be awesome. But I don't know. I never liked, because I didn't like Naruto or One Piece and stuff as much. I know a lot of people like those. But yeah, I definitely went more the Bleach direction there, watching those. And yeah, the Adult Swim dubs were definitely a big part of that. And yeah, and I saw the movies. I didn't like the first one. The first one was too artsy. It forgot what the show was supposed to be. It tried to be art, and Bleach is absolutely not meant to be a show that makes you feel profound feelings. It's supposed to just be like, yeah. And so that's kind of what it is. But yeah, the second and third movies were really good, especially the one where Ichigo goes to hell, literally, which is a lot of fun. So, yeah, Japanese depiction of hell is, pretty harrowing, but also, opens doors for a lot of opportunities in the show. So there's your, there's your kind of, completely off topic, for the subject this week, but I definitely do have that shirt. I'm going to see if I can find a bigger one of those for 2022. I'm going to need that time to figure that out, but that'll be probably the aspect for that too. Yeah, Inuyasha, exactly. Inuyasha is a lot of fun too. Have you had a chance to watch the sequel? I have watched some of Yashahime. It's not bad. Like they have new characters in it. Usually when they bring in new characters, it's just going to suck. But like these new ones, they're actually not bad. If a show has decent characters, that's enough to kind of get me along. But yeah. Okay. I think after all that, after derailing all this, I think I only have a couple of categories here. I got pits and drivers for a couple of votes. I'll go through this again here because I think I've already scared off most people that were watching this. It's okay. It's not going to be all anime chat here tonight. But of course, if you have follow-up questions on that, I'm not going to turn that down either. I've already put the dog to sleep with that. So we got that too. So again, the categories: NASCAR, pits, teams, tracks, drivers, and the wild card. The sequel is fun. Yeah, it's fun. It's at least if a show is having fun, generally I'm going to have fun watch it. I'll tell you that. But yeah, I always like the more the lighter side of it, for sure. Let's see. Okay, so I've only got a couple votes here for pits and drivers, so we'll just pick a couple of those categories. We'll do some from pits and some from drivers, and we'll do that here. So let's go ahead and jump into that. Let's see. That one's too easy for you guys. Ooh, I think we might have had this one already. What 1955 car had the most powerful non-supercharged US-made engine ever? What 1955 car had the most powerful non-supercharged US-made engine ever? Here's our first question. Let's see. Eric Sipes, I was just reading your comment here. The occasional blowover is unavoidable. We don't need another wing situation that forces NASCAR to ruin the car. That's a very good point. Yeah, I mean, the rear diffuser thing, who knows? Especially, I mean, Daytona's going to be hairy, but I mean, it's been like that before. In 1981, when they had to go to the narrower wheelbase cars, they were very unpredictable. And the duels in particular were very crazy. You had a lot of very big accidents in that. And then the 500 turned out to be a lot more calm, I think just because everybody was using up their stuff and maybe was driving a little bit more carefully. We could be seeing a repeat of that this year. We didn't really see that with the Gen 6 car in 2013. We didn't see that even in 2008 when the Car of Tomorrow was first run in the 500. I think in comparison, both those dual races were very calm compared to that. So very close to 81. Hopefully we'll see something kind of like that here this year. But I don't know. I think it's good. There's a lot of questions up in the air at the moment, even after all this testing. Read the question again here. What 1955 car had the most powerful non-supercharged US-made engine ever? What 1955 car had the most powerful non-supercharged US-made engine ever is the question. We got guesses for Hudson Hornet, Chevrolet, Ford, Cadillac. You're in sixth, the last car on the lead lap, Charles. And oh man, that's gonna be a tough race. And Jeff Burton is lapping the field. I never thought of Jeff Burton being very good at Bristol, but I guess that's I guess in video games it's always gonna have somebody weird going for the lead. All right, what 55 car had the most powerful non-supercharged U.S. brand engine ever? The answer is the Chrysler 300. Whoop, let's bring that a little closer. There we go. Chrysler 300 is the correct answer. I don't think anybody got that one. That's a tough one. All right, next question. What make of car did Ray Fox turn to when GM dropped out of racing in the 60s? What make of car did Ray Fox turn to when GM dropped out of racing in the 60s? Don't look it up. Let's try to guess. What make of car did Ray Fox turn to when GM dropped out of racing in the 60s is our question. Let me move the mic down a little bit here. See if we can adjust that a bit. There we go. All right. Excuse me. We got guesses for Ford and Dodge and Chrysler and Pontiac. We got a couple of different other options on here. Question again is, what make of car did Ray Fox turn to when GM dropped out of racing in the 60s? That is our question. All right. Right on. Okay, here we go again. What make of car did Ray Fox turn to when GM dropped out of racing in the 60s? The answer is Dodge. Whoop. Camera left. There we go. Dodge is the correct answer. Charles Peterson, you got that one. Dodge is indeed the correct answer. Oh, Beast of Metal, thank you for the super chat, man. Better late than never, right? I had to make an emergency run to get Hot Wheels for my nephew, honoring the other great racing tradition, Mario Kart. Right on, man. Hey, no, don't sweat it. And look, and again, I want to make this very, very clear, especially this time of year. Look, super chats, they're perfectly fine, but they're definitely not expected. So don't, and that goes for you in particular, Beast of Metal, because I know you do it a lot. So, but I do appreciate it. But yeah, very, very cool, man. But I'm glad you make sure you get the Hot Wheels. Actually, in fact, ours Target lately here, I think our whole section of Hot Wheels, they must be on a ship or something. They must be still in the Suez Canal or something, because, our whole section was literally cleared out. So, again, if you ever want to say that, kids don't play with toys anymore, or play with Hot Wheels, they certainly do in our neighborhood. That's for sure. And it sounds like they do in Beasts of Metals too, but definitely appreciate it. Thank you very much. Alrighty, next question here. What mechanical genius opened a Daytona tire dealership upon retiring in 1972? What mechanical genius opened a Daytona tire dealership upon retiring in 1972? Didn't every manufacturer drop out of racing at least once in the 60s? Probably did. It seemed like that was a very common thing to happen at the time. It's a very good point. What mechanical genius opened a Daytona tire dealership upon retiring in 1972? Isn't it weird how the word genius has kind of changed a bit? Like, I mean, you hear this phrase, it almost sounds sarcastic. It's like, what mechanical genius did this? It's like, well, no, but I mean, it's literally, that's what it's asking. What mechanical genius opened a Daytona tire dealership upon retiring in 1972? All right, we got several guesses for Smokey Eunuch. Stan Beast of Metal. There you go. All right. Let's see here. What mechanical genius opened a Daytona tire dealership upon retiring in 1972? And the answer is Ray Fox. We're back to Ray Fox again. Ray Fox is the correct answer. Yeah, Smoky Unique's a good guess. I mean, it's also you're also thinking the right time there. But yeah, Ray Fox is the correct answer. All right, we'll do this one more, then we'll switch over to drivers here because I know a couple of you guys picked that one. Yeah, Ray Fox, go figure. All right, next question. Who was Mike Skinner's crew chief when he won the Daytona 500 pole as a rookie? Who was Mike Skinner's crew chief when he won the Daytona 500 pole as a rookie? Yeah, Death Killer, exactly. Mechanical genius. Yeah, there you go. Oh, my goodness. That's interesting. The chat on the main screen loads up before the one on the side here. I have a different window for the chat. Oh, okay. No, this one's more or less synced up. I figured out, like, when I log into the chat, it opens it as a separate window, so it's a little trickier to work with. But, you know, I mean, it does the trick. So there's that. Who was Mike Skinner's crew chief when he won the Daytona 500 pole as a rookie? Okay, we got Kevin Hamlin, Chocolate Myers, Larry McReynolds, Fatback McSwain. Alrighty, the answer is it is Kevin Hamlin. I thought Larry McReynolds was the one, but Kevin Hamlin is the answer. Kevin Hamlin. Yeah, Charles Peterson, you got it. I think you were the first one. There you go. Right on, right on. All right, let me switch over to drivers here for a couple questions. Yeah. Let's try a different one here. All right, here we go. Okay, you can't look this one up because this is one that's very easy to look up. So I'll just ask it right here. How many races did Bobby Allison win in 1971? A personal best for 1 year. How many races did Bobby Allison win in 1971? A personal best for 1 year. Ooh, yep, very close. Yeah, Ultimate 23 Dragon. That's a confusing part to me too. It said Kevin Hamlin, but I thought it was Larry McReynolds because yeah, it seemed like there was a swap there, but maybe it was just right at the beginning. Maybe McReynolds came in later in the season. I don't know. I haven't looked that up. But yeah, that's a weird one. So we're looking for a number here. How many races did Bobby Allison win in 1971? A personal best for 1 year. Whoop, can't lose the headphones here. All right. Okay, there we go. I can see the numbers here. All right. 6 and 12 and 9 and 8. I'm very tickled with how this looks. I'm so glad that works where like it still shows a little bit of the message above that gets cut off under the behind the wall logo. I like that. I like how that worked out. I was messing with this constantly, and I'm so glad that it does that. I might still play around with another feature on this tonight just to test it, but we'll see. Because I still like to be able to share the Twitter feed or something. But yeah, and stuff like that, like get like the race results up and stuff. That would be fun. But I need to set up a different feed for that or another scene for that or something. Okay. How many races did Bobby Allison win in 1971? A personal best for 1 year. The answer is 11. 11 is there you go, is the correct answer. Death Killer, looks like you got it. Maserati 9, you beat him to it. Maserati 9 is correct. Alrighty, next question. Rich Bickle. There you go. Rich Bickle's a fun name to say. How many, next question here, in the drivers category, how many of Neil Bonnet's 15 1979 Super Speedway races did he win? How many, don't look it up, of Neil Bonnet's 15 1979 Super Speedway races did he win? Now, clearly, this definition of Super Speedway is not just Daytona and Talladega, so it's a bit more broad than that. How many of Neil Bonnet's 15 1979 Super Speedway races did he win? So we're looking for another number on this one. 0? Could be. We'll find out. Okay, we got guesses for 2 or for 3. Let's see how this guy's doing. Oh gosh, he's all curled up. For those of you coming in here a little bit later, one of our dogs here, Badger, just snuck in here. He is sitting next to me here. I'll bring him up on camera here again before we wrap up the show tonight. But he's all curled up right next to me, just off camera. How many of Neil Bonnet's 15 1979 Super Speedway races did he win, is the question. There we go. All right, we got guesses for 2 and 3 and 1 and 4. All right, here we go. How many of Neil Bonnet's 15 1979 Super Speedway races did he win? The answer is 3. 3 is the correct answer. 3 is the correct answer. So let's see. Fresh Pescado, looks like you were the first one to it. Maserati 9 and Death Killer. Yeah, Super Speedways mean 1.5. Yeah, it seems to be 1.5 milers as well. I don't know if it stretches a little further to count Darlington, since that's less. So yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, obviously, it doesn't give me a definition thing on this, but that would be my guess. Yeah, their definition of Super Speedway back then was probably anything that wasn't a short track or a dirt track. So, yeah. How old, oh, these are all numbers today. How old was Junior Johnson when he retired from driving race cars? How old was Junior Johnson when he retired from driving race cars? Yeah, this is a tricky one. Don't look it up. Let's go ahead and just type the first guess that comes to your mind. We're looking for an age of the late, great Junior Johnson. What age was he when he retired from driving race cars? These are hard questions. These are not easy questions. I mean, I don't exactly know this one right off the top of my head. So, yeah. Oh, I'm grabbing them. There we go. Is this thing, hey? The proper way to wear this is with the ball towards the front, I would assume. It's got to be like just out of your view. There you go. How old was Junior Johnson when he retired from driving race cars? All right, we got 50 and 37 and 42 and 35 and 41. Okay, we got a good cross-section of guesses here. Here comes the answer. The answer is 34. 34 is the correct answer. And who got that? Just Ryan Gallagher and Maserati 9. You were extremely close. 34 is the correct answer. You probably had the right year, but maybe his birthday was right after he actually did it. But 34 is the correct answer. Very close. Very close. Beast of Metal. There you go. The spirit of the derp. Well, these are not easy questions. These are not easy questions. Ooh. Oh, now this is interesting. I really don't know this one. All right, here we go. We're back to names now. What Cup driver was the first to turn a practice lap at Phoenix International? What Cup driver was the first to turn a practice lap at Phoenix International? Yeah, let's chew that one over. This is like something you probably would have had to dig up a NASCAR scene or something to kind of verify this one, unless you were there firsthand. What Cup driver was the first to turn a practice lap at Phoenix International? You have to get in the time machine, go way back. Way, way, way back. Hey there, Mark. Thank you for stopping by. Happy holidays to you as well. Retired at the end of the 65 season. His birthday must have been in... Well, didn't they say his birthday was in... was this past week, wasn't it? It was like in December. I got to look it up. I don't remember. I'll read the question again here. Our latest trivia question. What Cup driver was the first to turn a practice lap at Phoenix International? Okay, here we go. The guesses are coming in. L.W. Wright, Richard Petty, Benny Parsons, Kowicki, Petty, Kowicki, Gordon. There we go. Now, again, this could be a trick question. I mean, I'm going to throw this in here. I know we're getting guesses already. It could be that it's saying, okay, which Cup driver during the 88 weekend, which is the first weekend they had the Cup races there. But there were Winston West races held there for a number of years earlier, and some Cup drivers actually did race in those West races. I know Tim Richmond did, for one. And then, of course, there were other drivers who were in the Cup series, or in the West series that got into Cup. So it could be that too. I'm thinking it could be a possibility with that, but probably not. Probably not. Whoop. All right, we got guesses. Trevor Boys. There you go. Yeah, that is an obscure pick. No clue. Yeah, no clue either. All right, here we go. Let's get the answer. What Cup driver was the first to turn a practice lap at Phoenix International? The answer is Darrell Waltrip. Can you believe it? Darrell Waltrip never won a race there, but he completed the first practice lap at Phoenix. Fascinating. Fascinating. Yeah, Herschel McGriff. Yeah. Now, again, I don't know. Does that mean that it was in a West race, or does it mean it was during the 88 weekend? That would be interesting to find out. I do not know the answer. But that would be interesting to find out. So there you go. Oh, gosh. There you go. Here we go. Let's see how the dog's doing here. Oh, there he is. There you go. You gonna say hi to everyone? Oh gosh, no. he's pretty much, oh, not that way, this way. There we go. You're pretty much out. Good. There you go. Oh no. See, he just kind of pulls right up next to you. That's what he's gonna do. All right. Oh, there you go. Okay. Let's pull that back up on here. Alrighty. We talk about Stillas going to the Super Bowl. Oh boy. I love listening to Urinating Trees videos on that. We played up his reaction to the Vikings game like right as it ended, and it was hilarious. Love his stuff, always have. So I mentioned him in the Days of Thunder thing with his old video game reviews. I don't know why he doesn't do video game reviews anymore. I think he's still really talented at it. I think even when he didn't have like the best video, like, you know, even like you had a time where the angry game nerd has taken off and stuff like that. I mean, he still had like, you know, great writing and great performances in him. And I think that still covers over. It still carries over to his current content. I like it a lot. So yeah. Ooh, here we go. I think we might have had this question before, but we'll go and do it again because it's a good one. Who smacked the wall in turn 2, causing the 1998 Prime Star 500 to end under caution? Don't look it up because that'd be a very easy one to look up. Who smacked the wall in turn 2, causing the 1998 Prime Star 500 to end in caution? The Steelers going to the Super Bowl. As if. Bills this year. Come now. Come now. Finished 5th in the McDonald's Ford. Jeff Burton's your winner. There you go. Right on, Charles. Who smacked the wall in turn 2, causing the 1998 Prime Star 500 to end in caution? I'm sure I meant to say under caution, but probably the character limit is keeping it at bay there. There you go. There's a good boy. All right. Craven, Strickland, Gordon, Martin, Nadu. Whoop, hello. Nope, now he just woke up. Yeah, you're good. You're good. You're good. All right. Ward Burton, Johnson. Hey, definitely. Andrew Ranger. Yeah, there you go. Getting some creative answers now. All right, here we go. Who smacked the wall in turn 2, causing the 1998 Prime Star 500 to end under caution? The answer is Jeff Burton. Wow, Charles, I guess before winning that Bristol race, he was not having a good day in the Atlanta race in 1998. And whoop, there you go. Jeff Burton is the correct answer. Yeah, not one you would expect. I don't think anybody guessed that. I think the Lions win the Super Bowl. There you go. Okay, here's one that actually kind of came up in the well, no, okay, I take that back. I was about to say it was something from the Bradbury video, but it wasn't. Who won the poll for the 1997 Bush Clash? Clash is still coming up, so it's a good question. Topical here. Who won the poll in the 1997 Bush Clash? Now, technically a trick question because, I mean, you don't have traditional qualifying, but somebody still has to start on pole, and I'm sure that's what it's asking. Who won the poll in the 1997 Bush Clash? Let me adjust this. All right. Okay. All right. Oh, gosh, we're already up to almost 2 hours, man. Okay. I didn't think it was going to go quite this long. All righty. Who won the poll in the 1997 Bush Clash is the question. Dale Jarrett, Dale McCowart, Mark Martin, Rusty, Gordon, Coleslaw Custard. What are these questions? Yeah, good point. Yeah, these are just trivia questions. We're just doing Q&As here. So we're not keeping score, so that's okay. Who won the poll in the 1997 Bush Clash? The answer is Texas. Terry Labonte. Terry Labonte is the correct answer. I don't think anybody guessed that. It wasn't Collar Yamamoto. Or was it Kaler? Kaler Yamamoto. There's an I there. That's a tricky one. Or Kyler Yamamoto. Yeah, who won it or who drew poll? Who drew poll must be the question. Because I know it's kind of redundant because it's a poll winner's race back then. But yeah, it must be asking who drew poll. So yeah, Terry Labonte is the correct answer. Let's see. All right. We'll probably do just one more here, folks. Here we go. Last question for the evening here. This one is, which Allison's car is shown racing in the 1968 Elvis Presley movie Speedway? Which Allison's car is shown racing in the 1968 Elvis Presley movie Speedway? Yeah, Terry Labonte was cool, for sure. Come on, we all know it was Lance Stroll. No, not quite. All right, which Allison's car is shown racing in the 1968 Elvis Presley movie Speedway? It could be 50-50, or is it? Who knows? Got all the Bobbies and Donnies showing up. Oh, maybe the Oilers. There you go. Kyler. So Kyler is in Kyler Murray is the correct pronunciation. Okay, Kyler. Interesting. Well, I guess it just drags that out. So it's always good practice, isn't it? There we go. Which Allison's car is shown racing in the 1968 Elvis Presley movie Speedway? And the answer, it is indeed Bobby Allison's. That's correct. Bobby Allison. The other Allison, third bro. There you go. Yeah, it could have been Donnie. You never know. It could have been Donnie. They both had interesting careers. All righty. Well, so thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in here tonight. I know it's been a little bit of a different kind of show. I had a lot of different topics to cover here along the way, but I hope you enjoyed following that along. And our good buddy, whoop, you want to come up here, buddy? Want to come up here for the end? Oh, he's kind of up. He's up. How you doing? How you doing, huh? There he goes. He's sniffing at the hat. Oh, there you go, Badger. Oh, he's going to be looking around. Okay. There you go. All righty. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in here. Have a very Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, and a great time off here. Hope you all are safe and having fun and everything. We'll do some more shows here over the off season. I don't know if we're going to do one before New Year's Day. If we do, I'll make sure to let you know on my Twitter at LastCarOnBrock. You can also check out my Patreon, patreon.com/LastCarOnBrock. The website, of course, is lastcar.info, and other content here on this YouTube channel. Thank you, everyone, for your support, and for following Last Place Racing. We got a really exciting season coming up this next year. And it's been my pleasure coming on these shows here. And I think with this format, it's gonna be a lot of fun to kind of work with this here too. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you on the next show. You good? You good there, buddy?